Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the latest episode of Making the Case for Your Lawyer Dreams. I'm your host, founder of Becoming JD, Anthony Denmark. Where our goal, our purpose is to give you guys the tips, the tools, the resources, the gems, and the blueprint to learn how to successfully navigate your lawyer journey. We've been blessed to be able to have guests come on from all over the country, near and wide, west side, down south, midwest, to share their journeys, to share their stories, for you to be able to see people who look like you doing what you want to do. We've been blessed to have over 85 guests, and we have another amazing unicorn here for y'all today. So make sure that you lock in, stay tuned. Let us know where you're viewing our session from. Of course, I'm holding it down in St. Louis, Missouri. It's not the place where I want to be, but it is the place where currently God has me. Nevertheless, let us know where you're viewing our session from. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Becoming JD to catch past episodes. I'm really excited about our guests. I want you guys to know that no matter where you are in your journey, you can be a lawyer. And that's on period. That challenge you're going through, yeah, you're going to beat it. Why? Because you done beat past challenges before, and you're going to beat this one too. But you don't have to do it alone, y'all. You do not have to do it alone. We have a community of people here praying for you, supporting you, and waiting for you to reach out to them. So don't be scared, because we need you to take the next step in your journey. We need you in these spaces. We need you to manifest that dream of becoming a lawyer that you had when you were just a kid. I know it's hard, but you got this, queen. I know it's hard, but you got this, king. So, again, welcome you guys to Making the Case for Your Lawyer Dreams. Let's go ahead and get our another amazing guest on. Again, let us know where you're viewing our session from. And of course, I always make a promise, swear before God, cross my heart, hope to die. I want you guys to put your questions in the chat box because I want you guys to make sure that you come away fed with a clear message in regards to what you need to do next. So don't just watch, also engage and get the information that you need because we want to make sure that you're fed, y'all. So Kendrick finished his part. I finished my intro. So let's go ahead and get our guest on. So let's go ahead and start talking. We'll listen to your 40 while we wait for it. But again, let us know in the chat where you're viewing our session from. I'm holding it down in St. Louis, Missouri. We see we got Canada in the house. And of course now, we got Baton Rouge in the house. What's going on, sis?
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Breezelia Allen, also known as Attorney Southern Belle on Instagram. I want to apologize if y'all hear some stuff in the background, but I'm here at my old stomping grounds, LSU, where I was the first black female secretary ever elected to serve as the Student Bar Association secretary in the history of LSU from 2014 to 2015. So I just started a panel at 6 o'clock, and now I'm here with you all.
Well, thank you so much, sis, for joining us again, live in full effect. We really appreciate you. And one of the things, you got your formal government introduction out of the way. And so, oftentimes on this journey, when it comes to becoming a lawyer, I feel like a lot of people face challenges for the first time ever. They done took the
Yeah.
LSAT, or they're struggling with the LSAT. And I want to always ask, I always start this question off. This is my first question I ask everybody. And it's going to have some brown sugar vibes to it, okay? You ready for it?
All right, I'm ready.
So here's the question. When did you fall in love with law? Because we don't do this, Joan, if we don't love it. Yeah, Shania Lathan. Yeah, brown sugar. Let's go.
Well, I first fell in love with law actually when I was in high school. I was on the mock trial team in high school in this little town called Shreveport, Louisiana. And so being on that mock trial team really like reinforced my love for, law, and I wanted to be a lawyer. Of course, I was already arguing with my parents about punishments and stuff like that because believe it or not, I may look sweet and innocent, but I really did give my parents a little run for their money. But I would argue with them and I would write like a whole thesis and back it up with research and proof that what they were doing was not right and I deserve to get my things back. And so one example that I have is my papa used to pay me for my grades, but he told me that I had to learn how to type or else I wasn't going to get paid for the grades. And I was like, well, I don't need to learn how to type, papa, because typing is not something that I'm going to be utilizing. The ladies at the grocery store at Brookshire, all they do is peck and punch the keys and they take your cash or your card. So here I am, I'm thinking, well, all I'm going to do is be a little cashier. And look at me now. I'm not even, I, I thought I was going to be a cashier, but I eventually learned how to type. But after I wrote that letter, he did start paying me back. So I felt like I had the art of negotiation and mediation, and I could settle and resolve things. So that's how I ended up um, falling in love with law. I figured if I could write myself out of punishments, I could do the same thing for somebody else.
And I think the thing that's amazing for so many of us out there, we fall in love with law at such a young age. And it's something that continues to grow with us after we face particular challenges in life. We begin to realize, as opposed to being a person who just sits by and complains about it, we wanted to be able to do something about it as a lawyer. And we begin to realize this is something that we're built to do. And so, one of the other questions I oftentimes go in with people is I love to ask you guys, like, law school is a challenge, right? When you were back at LSU, where you at right now, I want you to tell me about that moment when you realized, oh snap, this is a little different. I got to make some changes. What was that pivot moment like for you when you got to law school? When did it happen?
Well, at LSU law, I think it's just tradition. They tell you to look to your left, look to your right. One of you all will not be here. And I wanted to be in the number and I wanted to be there. But when they said that you only give one exam a semester, and that was your fate, that made me realize that I really had to do a little bit differently with my study habits and my study patterns. I had to do what worked for me, but I had to get with the groove of how the professors taught, how their exams were, and how my learning style was. And I had to make it work for me so that I could make the best grade. My first semester in law school, I made really good grades, but there was one class that I just could not grasp, and I couldn't grasp what the professor was talking about. And he was making it so difficult. And it's funny because that was my lowest grade ever in law school, but that's all I do is review contracts for like different businesses. But contracts was my lowest grade in law school. I draft contracts and I review contracts for different entities that may need that, or I do legal documents and agreements.
And I think the thing that's kind of cool about it, and for you guys out there, I hope you guys caught the tea of what she talked about here, y'all. So understand this. I know for most of your life, high school, college, even in your professional life, you did things a certain way. Law school and even the LSAT, the bar, is about learning how other people want it. It's not about what you think. It's not about what you feel. It's about how they want it to be presented and packaged. And so, oftentimes, the biggest challenge you guys are facing now is learning how to make changes to how you prepare, how you analyze, to make sure you're doing it through the lens that is what is acceptable or the lens that where somebody else is looking for it. And I know at times that can be hard, but I also want you guys to be able to understand it's not really a game. I tell people, man, this lawyer journey ain't got nothing to do with intelligence. But there's a lot of people out there. I'm sure sis, you'd be like, hold on, you did what? You went to law school? What? You passed the what? It's not about intelligence at all. It's really about you being able to say to yourself, how can I adjust to what they're asking for? Same way you do with your clients with contracts. What is your expectation? Let me meet that expectation. And it's something that can be readily achievable by anybody if you really be able to put yourself to it. And so one of the things I also want to ask you, of course, is so we had contracts. Oh man, I remember contracts. That was my favorite class. I thought you were about to say Civ Pro. Civ Pro was that class that I had to struggle to stay awake in. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. I was just trying to go to bed. So you better than me. I thought you were about to say Civ Pro. How was Civ Pro for you, sis?
Civil procedure. So we're in the great state of Louisiana. So our law is a whole different animal.
A whole different
Uh,
country.
a whole different country. So I love civil procedure, especially federal civil procedure. I had a good professor that was Professor John Devlin. I could get with procedure, criminal procedure, administrative procedure, and civil procedure, federal jurisdiction, federal procedure. I could get with the procedure of things. So it actually procedure is what drives law. We have the code, we have the statutes and everything, but that procedure is what drives the law. Like that procedure is the Bible. So,
Yeah, actually, 'cause I remember one of the things that my professor once told me. He said to me, he was like, "You need to get out your feelings." He was like, "You allowing your feelings to impact your performance." And civil procedure is the most important class you're going to take in your first year of law school because that's where they're able to determine if you're going to do a clerkship or where you're going to be able to spend your 1L year interning. But nevertheless, one of the other things I love also talking about is I love talking about you guys' experiences when you passed the bar. I want you to tell me where you were, tell me the grind, what it was like, and how was it when you got the results.
okay. So for me, let me tell you, this is what I did. I think I just liked the element of the classroom. I didn't know if I was going to pass the bar or not. So I had enrolled in school again because I was an English major. But you need to know how to write anyway as a lawyer. So being an English major was the best decision I could ever make. So before I get into that, I majored in English. I minored in psychology because at the time, LSU didn't have a pre-law program. And after I graduated, they just decided to get a pre-law program. So I created my own pre-law. I did communications as a minor because you need to know how to speak and communicate with people. I also did psychology. In this field, you're gonna be dealing with a lot of different personalities. You can't diagnose them, but you can look at that DSM-5 and see if you might be dealing with just different personalities. So you need to know how to deal with people. So that's why I chose psychology. Then I chose leadership because naturally lawyers are looked at as leaders, and you need to know how to conduct yourself as a leader, as a thought leader, and a legal leader. So that's why I took those minors and I did English. So I did that I did it in 4 years at LSU undergrad. But I will say for the bar exam, oh my gosh, I think we must have cried at the bar exam because our test is 9 tests for over the course of 3 days. Well, it's a week. So you got a 2 day break and then you got 3 days, three exams. The goal is to pass the exam within the first 2 days because in Louisiana you had to have a 650 to pass.
Mm.
So I I didn't know if I was gonna pass, like I said before, get to the Canvas with y'all. So I enrolled in school to get my master's in organizational development because I like human resource compliance, that kind of thing like that. And I had worked in that in undergrad. So I said, okay, let me go head on and get this master's degree while I'm at it because I don't know if I'm gonna pass the bar, so I need a good job or something. Well, I ended up working at a bankruptcy firm as like a legal assistant. So then my boss came in. He was like, "Oh, the results came out." He was like, "You passed the bar on the first try." I said, "Huh? I did what?" He was like, "Your name is on the list. You passed the bar on the first try." I said, "Oh my gosh." He was like, "So that means your salary is going to increase here, and I'm going to upgrade you to be, an attorney here at this firm." It was a bankruptcy firm, but yeah. So he knew the results before I knew the results, and I was I was all anxious and everything, but I had the mindset, and this is what I want to tell you all. Mindset is everything. I had the mindset that I could not afford to take the Louisiana Bar Association, the Louisiana Bar again. I would not take it a second, third, or fourth time. The first time it was gonna be it, pass or fail, because I don't like standardized tests. I was not doing it. We're not doing it, and I wasn't gonna waste my parents' money like this. So all praises be to the Most High that I passed the bar exam on the first try. So,
That is an amazing story. Now go ahead and also take us behind the scenes and talk about what your preparation was like. Because I think for a lot of people out there, they don't know what real grinding really is. And I think people think this by what I call cute studying. You know what at the coffee shop where it's all nice with the mocha and it's all pretty with the music. Can you tell them what the grind really looks like so they can understand if they're not hitting this mark, they're not working hard enough?
so in law school, you got to grind too. So I'm gonna tell y'all what I did. When it came time for finals, me and my study group, we had three people in the study group, and we studied at the local hospital because it was 24 hours and they had a 24-hour subway. And I said, this makes sense. So if anything happened to us, we'll be right here at the hospital and they could just, make sure we okay from all the studying we doing. So they were like, Marie, you're crazy. I said, that might be true, but I'm making good sense here. And we get coffee. And the people that work at Subway, they was giving us coffee, maybe free snacks and stuff like that because we was always in there. So we would study from 11 p.m. on a Friday night to 6 a.m. Sleep, study from 11 p.m. 6 a.m. on Saturday. 11 p.m. 6 a.m. on Sunday. Then Monday we would do uh, like the afternoon till about 9 p.m. But it was really, really challenging and really hard, especially when you got ready for your final exams. And the bar it was even harder because the law library closed at a certain time. We would
Yeah.
be sneaking into rooms where they couldn't find us. At my school, we had a little duck off room and it had a wooden door without a window, so they couldn't find us in there after hours. But I believe they knew we were in there. But we would be studying, using the whiteboards to go over different scenarios and things that would be on the exam. But what I want to say about the bar exam was most important is that you actually, and I teach my students this at Southern, go look at the old exams or look at the model answers. And my friends, they thought I was crazy. They said I had the bar exam tonight from 1998. I said I probably do because the bar exam is recycled. And so I would just study how they wrote for the bar exam, the model answers to learn and reinforce what I had learned in law school. It's really a comprehensive exam um, of what you know. And if you're able to pass it for this profession. But the bar exam, it has nothing to do with the practice of law, the actual practice of law. The LSAT has nothing to do with law school, the actual matriculation for law school. Yes, they test your reading comprehensions, but there's one part on the LSAT that it's like a rubrics cube. It's called logical games. I mean, they make it almost nearly impossible for you to pass it. But I think with that, it tests your aptitude, it tests your temerity, your tenacity, and all of those things because you need those skills to actually survive law school, but you also need those skills to actually survive the practice in life.
That part, that part. And so I want you guys to be able to understand is that if you're not operating outside of your comfort zone, you're not growing. And literally on this lawyer journey, every step of the way, it requires you to step out of your comfort zone. But the rewards are priceless. I couldn't even imagine the thought of me having my boss tell me, hey, you passed the bar. Now I got to raise your salary. That had to be the most amazing or priceless experience ever. I mean, you want to
It
raise your
was,
salary?
it was,
Go right ahead.
it was, it was.
And I think the thing that's amazing, and I hope you guys, I always ask our guests this, I hope you guys are able to see the journey. It's not easy. And I want you guys to be able to understand the challenges that you're going through are just things that you're going to look back on a month from now, 6 months from now, and realize it was just a little molehill. It looks like it's something that's massive now, but through consistency and persistence, it's something that can be overcome. Now, one thing I definitely do want to explore with you is I don't know if you guys caught it, but Sis is not only an ADA, Sis is not only a business owner, Sis is also a professor at Southern University Law Center. And I want to ask you because you went to LSU or PWI, you teach at a HBCU, and you also came from Shreveport. I feel like in that element, you have so many to share with because I know it's so many people who may come from small towns who believe this dream of becoming a lawyer is something too big. What were some of the things that motivated you? Because I've been to Shreveport, and so I know it's literally a dream. So I want you to tell us about because there's people out there from small towns all over the country who think are doubting themselves because of where they call home.
Oh yeah, you can't doubt yourself for what because of where you come from. Okay, where you come from, yeah, that may shape you. Um, but my dad was my biggest fan, and my dad, he would always say, just never give up on your dreams. And I think for him, I think he gave up on his dreams, or maybe he didn't have the right people in his life or mentorship to actually follow through with his dreams. Because my dad was a high school dropout. He was in the street life and everything like that. Um, but that was one thing he instilled in me was just to always, always, always go after your dreams. And my mom and him, they always kept me involved in different kind of extracurricular activities like 4-H, dance. I was involved in almost every club in high school. So it was really like, yeah, I had the right mesh of parents and support system to actually go through with going to law school. Now, I will say there was a point in time where I thought, hey, I should probably drop out of law school because of the finances. But some kind of way, God made a way uh, for me to be able to stay in law school. I always tell people I almost dropped out of my first semester. But my dad was like, no, we're not going to do this. There's a way, there's a way. And sure enough, there was a way to cover those expenses. Um, then additionally, I almost did not graduate high school, not high school, law school, because during my last year of law school, I missed so many absences because I was a caretaker for my dad. My dad died the first, within the first 2 weeks of law school, my last year in 2014. And the only thing I wanted was I wanted my dad to see me graduate and walk across the stage and here he is, he's sick and he dies. So he dies right there, my last year of law school. I missed all the absences that I could, maxed out for ABA, maxed out on a class that I had needed to graduate. But I had people at that law school, they could say anything about LSU that they want to say. But the vice chancellor called me every day. He said, take all the time you need. We'll get through this with you. And that's basically how I got through and I graduated from law school. I just never was a person to back down and give up on my dreams. Like, here's another example that I can say. In 2023, I was 33 years old and I had the audacity to run for a judge of the 19th Judicial District Court. I came in second place. Um, and now my campaign has become like a blueprint for other people's campaigns, like not even just people running for judges, but like mayors and stuff like that. I really they were watching my campaign. And I was like, oh wow, I didn't know I could make, that kind of impact around here, just a little girl from Shreveport. But hey, I'm just a little girl from Shreveport that just had big dreams and I went after them. And I'm just a go getter. I'm very outgoing. I'm a go getter, and my papa always said, you always have to live your life the way you want to live it, and make sure that what you do is something that you love, so it doesn't feel like you're working at all. And so when I'm practicing law, it doesn't feel like I'm working. So I'm actually doing something that I love because I'm creating impact and I'm helping people.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, there's supposed to be 24 hours in a day, right? And you're supposed to only be able to do a certain amount of stuff. But sis, how are you being an ADA, a professor, a business owner, and superwoman all at the same time? Please show people how you're doing that, sis.
I think it goes, okay, y'all know that song, I got 6 jobs, I don't get tired. I do get tired. I do get tired. But I, it's just a test of the wheels for me. So I go to school at night. Right now, I don't have any classes that I'm
Oh,
teaching.
I didn't even tell them that you're doing your PhD too. That too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
So I go to school at night. I actually have an exam tomorrow, so I will be studying. And I got court tomorrow as well. But I just I just make it happen because if I want it, if I want it, I'm gonna get it. So
Hold on, can you
that's
say
how.
that? Uh,
If I want it, I'm gonna get it by
and
any
why
means
it
necessary.
that made me think about the song "I Want It, I Got It." Don't make me have to come in your pocket,
Yeah.
cause I am high boy, right? But I think the thing that's amazing is it's amazing when it's like full circle for you to go from being a law student who almost left law school to being a law school professor. Tell me how much has that experience been for you? Because now you're molding legal minds as opposed to one who was trying to survive.
Right. And so I actually love teaching. I love everything about the classroom. I love Southern University. I love my students there. I don't think that I've had one student to um, not pass the bar under my tutelage. As far as I know, all my
Oh,
students have
go
passed the
ahead.
bar. I can pop my bow. So shout out to Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. But the other thing about it is I wanted to give I see a question, why did you almost leave law school financials? But with teaching at Southern, I wanted to provide students with the resources that I was provided in law school, that they may not otherwise have. I wanted to come from a different level of knowledge and thought processes that I could instill in students at Southern University. And so far, that has proven to be very successful. I have a Dropbox for any student who has attended my classes or taken me as a professor, where I have compiled old exams, I've compiled old bar exams, model answers, and outlines that they can go back and reference and use in their classes, for their core courses, even though I'm teaching advanced legal writing, legal research, lawyering process, or just legal studies in the pre-law program. So that's basically what I've done, and I get great joy out of teaching these students, and they treat me like family. I mean, one of my students, he was like, "Oh, Professor Allen, I had my grandma praying for you. You
Oh,
gotta
that's
come to my
beautiful.
graduation party." And I came to the graduation party, and I felt like this little superstar. He was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Professor Allen. He loves you. He had us praying for you during this campaign. He was all about Professor Allen." But you don't forget those stories that you made an impact in somebody else's life.
And I think it's beautiful. And you actually like really highlight something. I was talking to one of my clients earlier, and I really want you to give an opportunity to kind of share your insights. Is I had an opportunity to go to the backwoods of Illinois at Western Illinois University. They had one of the first black women Supreme Court justices. She was speaking, and during that speech, she talked about the value of your writing. She said, your writing and how you articulate your words on paper is what's going to open up so many doors for you. If you cannot write, you cannot practice. If you cannot write, you cannot communicate. So focus on your writing. And so I want you to be able to give the floor to tell people about the value of your writing, because I think one of it is so amazing. I'm sure you could talk about it, is seeing how your students' writing improves and evolves from when they started your class to before they go and sit for the bar exam.
Yes, absolutely. Because as I said earlier, I was an English major, and I only did English, became an English major, one because I did love to write. I write poetry, I write plays, I write screenplays, I write short stories. Now some of this has yet to be published, but I do have a book on Amazon under Attorneys of the Belle if y'all want to check it out. It's $12. It's a collection of poetry. But seeing my students actually uh improve their writing, because when they get to me in advanced legal writing, you wouldn't believe it. It's like I'm like, what are y'all doing here? And I'm teaching them the parts of the inception of a case to the appellate part of the case. So for their final, they have to turn in an appellate brief to me. And so in that course, I may be teaching civil procedure along with writing, along with criminal law or civil law. It depends on what the fact pattern is for that semester or year. And so to see how they go from writing their first petition to writing their brief, that's really amazing to see, because it seems like I have done something and I have taught them well. Because my goal when you get out of my class is for you to have a writing sample that you can send to potential employers, because that's very important, because they want to know how you write, how do you articulate your words, and how do you argue and place the law. So in law school, as you know, we have this formula called issue, rule, analysis, and conclusion. So now I'm in this public policy class, and I hate to be like a teacher's pet, but I look at it just like law school. You know, what is the problem? What's the issue? Um, what is the policy, or what's the rule? What's your analysis, and then what is the conclusion from that? Um, and that's actually how we move and build. So coming from an English background, I kind of knew how to write and how to do that. So I'm able to mesh regular English writing with legal writing, and we're able to create magic. And I enjoy it.
And one of the things to my law school applicants out there, and sis, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong here, but I tell people, I said, listen, no matter what LSAT score you have, somebody else got it. No matter what GPA you have, somebody else has it. The only way you're going to set yourself apart from anybody else applying to school, and this also goes towards the bar exam too, is how you write.
And how you write your first attempt at writing for law school is that personal statement.
That part,
Okay.
talking to them, sis.
Okay, so the personal statement is very, very important. And I share my personal statement with students all the time that's trying to get into law school. They want to look at the whole person. It's not just about your LSAT score, because I'm not even going to tell y'all what my LSAT score was, but ooh, we don't even discuss that. But I got into LSU law, and I I did what I needed to do. But I think I got in because one, I was well rounded. I had community service. I had great letters of recommendation. But my personal statement was on point. And that's what you have to focus on during the application process. Yes, the LSAT score matters. It matters for, your ability to get scholarships. I didn't have the highest LSAT score, and I was a faculty scholar at LSU Law. So they look at the whole person now with admissions.
Absolutely have some people ask some questions. What can make you stand out from other candidates? So what do you think, sis? helped you stand out from other candidates?
It's threefold: GPA, your LSAT score, and you have to set yourself apart in that personal statement. That's it. That is it. It's based on your character. Like, I think for me, in my personal statement, I actually had an online portfolio where I showed my writing, I showed my community service. It was like a digital resume. Then I had my resume. And so I kind of built my personal statement off of that. I talked about, why I wanted to be in law school. I talked about the stories, some of the stories that I told you guys, the cashier story. I talked about being involved in community, the leadership roles that I've had because they want people who are of good character, you know.
And just to piggyback on that, like literally what it comes down to, I tell people we are in the era of storytelling. Storytelling
Right,
is around, we are surrounded by storytelling. Storytelling is how we make decisions. When we cut on TVs and we are presented with stories on streaming services, we are presented with stories. And in 30 seconds, maybe even shorter, 15 seconds, we're going to make a decision. Am I going to watch it? Am I going to add it to my list? Or am I going to say, get it off my screen? That's the same thing that happens in the application process. Law
right,
schools are, go ahead, sis. Yeah,
right. It happens in the application process, but it also happens in the courtroom process.
that
For
part.
example, I was a staff attorney for many years of the 19th Judicial District Court here in East Baton Rouge Parish. If I read your writing and it was deplorable as an attorney, well, I've already ruled against you. So the writing matters. It matters because the judges and their staff attorney, they've already read it and they've already made a decision on how they're going to rule. I've argued, I've argued a case where my argument was 5 minutes, 5 minutes max. The judge granted in my favor because she had already read my brief. That what else did I need to argue? If it's right there on paper and they can see it and they can read it, they'll remember it. Your argument just reinforces it.
I think that's a mic drop moment right there, y'all. I hope y'all got that tea. So where your writing is and the quality of your writing is going to determine, it's going to carry weight not just in admissions, it's also going to be on finals, it's also going to be on the bar exam, and it's also going to be in your practice. And so, sis, I want you to also tell us a story. How on earth did you end up in the ADA?
I've been at 88 for about a year, a little over a year, and I work in child support enforcement with the East Baton Rouge Parish District Attorney's Office. So it's different than working as a criminal ADA.
And so tell us a story about some of the things that happened to you in that year. What's the craziest, wildest story?
Craziest father story.
Of course, we can't include names.
Yeah, I don't know about if there's any crazy father stories I have. Or mom stories, Fathers are not the only people who pay child support. Moms do too. I I think that, I have my own thoughts about child support. I understand what they're saying. It's based on the numbers and the calculations, but it's also based on policy concerns and considerations, and you have to balance that with the law and everything. So it's a little bit, it's different. It's different because especially when I came from a private practice world where I was pro dad. I was always pro dad. Like I had all the dads. They were my clients. Uh, you know, in child support, and sometimes the mom don't understand it. Well, if somebody gets a dad got child support papers, I would tell them in private practice, hey, we're gonna go 50-50. That don't mean you're not gonna pay child support. It just means it's gonna be significantly reduced. Because you'd have the kid share equal and shared custody week on, week off. It's really a balancing test to me. So I mean, I enjoy it.
Never a boring moment, I'm sure. Never a.
Oh, absolutely not. I wish I could tell y'all some stories, but I can't say a whole lot.
If the hey, listen, sis, the facial expressions gave it away. All 100. Now, one of the things I like to always close the show out with is I used to tell people that on this journey, it's full of ups and downs. And a lot of times, there's a lot more downs than there are ups. And right now, there may be people viewing our session either live or on our YouTube channel who, may have failed the bar and they're trying to prepare for it again. Or there may be people who just got dismissed from law school who are trying to figure out what to do. Or people who, are retaking the LSAT and are on the reapplication tour. I always love to give you guys the opportunity to give some words of encouragement. I know it's Wednesday and Bible study. They may have missed Bible study, so I'm coming to you to give them a word. So go ahead, sis.
Not you coming to be telling me to give them a word. Well, people like to. That's funny because some people say I should be in ministry or be a preacher or something like that. I don't know. You might be harping on that, but I am not saying I I'm calm, but I can give some motivation here. I would say if you're struggling, life happens to all of us. If you're struggling, you have to have the willpower not to give up. So if you have a higher power that you believe in, you need to cling to that higher power. Now, I'm a Christian, so I keep God first every day. When I'm going through something, let me tell y'all, I may be in my bag, but I'm also in the Bible and in the Word, and I'm listening to gospel. That's like my preferred thing now that I'm older. I didn't understand why my papa was doing that when he was, when I was growing up, he was always listening to sermon and gospel, and I was like, oh my God, this is just so boring. But now I get it because life be life. But one thing I want to tell y'all, one, write the vision and make it plain. Just because it's delayed, it doesn't mean it's denied. Everything happens for a reason. Some doors open, some doors close. But all of those doors, whether you have to close them or you open them, it's all toward purpose. And if there is a door that closes, just know that there's a hallway that you can keep going through where you can get to the other door. You have to keep going, keep going. And like my cousin once said, you know, there's a ladder, and I think Steve Harvey talked about these ladders. When you have a goal that you're trying to accomplish, you don't have time to be getting off of no ladder. You have to stay on the ladder and keep pressing toward the mark of what you're supposed to be doing, what your purpose is, and and everything like that. So my papa, one thing he always told me to do, like I said before, was write the vision and make it plain. I kid you not. It was like 2 years ago. He had given me a letter that he made me write to him about my goals and what I wanted to do. And I wrote this letter when I was 16. He gave it back to me 16 years later. He said, read this letter. He said, are you driving a Forerunner now? I said, yes. He said, did you build your house? I said, yes. He said, now did you publish a book? I said, yes. He said, you said all of this when you were 16 and you did it. It may have taken you a long time, but you still did it. So when you write down things, and this is a study tip too, when you write down things, it reinforces it in your brain and in your subconscious. And so then you're actively working towards it. So it's okay for you to declare and decree that, yeah, I may not have passed the bar this time around, but I'm gonna pass it the next time around. You have to make the adjustments and the changes adjustments that you need to make, maybe to your study skills, maybe to your time management, but you'll get there. So delayed is never denied.
I love it. Sis, I want to thank you for taking the time to drop some gems. I hope you guys out there realize, sis said it again, delayed is not denied. We dropped some Hot Boy references in here as well. But I want you guys
Yeah,
out
and
there.
I don't know if you saw my promo video, I chose the instrumental for Everything is Everything by Lauryn Hill. And I chose Lil Jon and the East Side Boys because I'm the crunkest judge ever whenever I become judge. But Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, who you with? Who you with? Get crunk, who you with? Be with yourself and get crunk about that because you are your best thing. You are your brand. You are everything, and you should cherish that.
That part. And so, without further ado, I want to thank you again, sis, for coming on to our show. To you guys out there, continue to fight for your lawyer dreams. You are not alone on this journey. Sis is rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. And we want to see you win because we need to see you win. We need you in the spaces to manifest. And we're ready for you and rooting for you. Thanks, sis, so much for joining us. And peace and blessings to everybody out there. Thank you, sis.
Thank you.